Hello there. Here I'll be presenting my independent project for Ismael Gomez. What we have here is two 5/5 timers and a decade counter, a 4017 decade counter. So what we have here is a 555 timer, and we have kind of values of resistors in series with capacitor. These kind of change the frequency, and the relation of this is kind of an inverse proportionality. The value of the resistor in series to the capacitor is large, so the frequency will be less, and vice versa. And that is kind of how we get the tonality. And we have we have 6 push buttons here. We have 6 to represent the tones for Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And here we have an 8 ohm 2-watt speaker. Here we have a regular 555 timer connected to this, which will also kind of help out giving the frequency we want to get for the tones. Here we also have a 555 timer. What this is going to be doing is sending out a consistent pulse for the clock that is connected to the 4017 decade counter. The clock is at pin 14, which we have the output from pin 3 in the 555 timer connected there, and then most of the other 16 pins, except for the VCC, the ground, and the enable, are outputs. And those outputs are going to these LEDs here. So as a regular synthesizer or piano, I took this kind of on because it was really nostalgic to me. My father was the first person to teach me instruments, and he mainly plays the piano at church. And I remember there is a setting on the piano that kind of gives you a tutorial where where the little keys light up, and you follow those keys to play a certain song. And so that is kind of what I've set this circuit in my independent project to do, is to give you a little tutorial of the first part of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star using those 6 notes. The yellow LEDs represent 2 beats, so that's where you'll be pressing the buttons twice, and the white LEDs represent 1 beat, and that is where you'll be pressing the buttons once. So here we go. Yellow. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. That pretty much sums up. You are able to add a potentiometer for depending on what tone you want to do, if you want to do a higher tone or a lower tone, just because all these resistors are connected to a main resistor here, which is I believe a 4.7K, and it just kind of decades in frequency to get your lower tones here, which we have these resistors in series here. But I use my potentiometer here, 100K pot, to control the speed of the tutorial, so it's easy to follow along, and it's not just going super fast where you cannot follow along. But that is my independent project. I like to call it the tutorial synthesizer / piano. Thank you very much. Okay, I know that the piano synthesizer is a little bit of the ordinary projects that you would see, and so it kind of lacks complexity. And so one of the things I wanted to do was make it a touchless piano by using an infrared LED and a photo transistor. And kind of the problem I saw with this was that I think that the signal was kind of not consistent. Sometimes the sound would be like a clicking noise, like click, 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 you know, and it wouldn't turn off all the way. And I think I tried troubleshooting with a capacitor to clear up the noise, which I thought maybe would have been one of the solutions. Unfortunately, it was still there. And then I think the best way to solve it would have been with a comparator, but I just didn't have enough comparators, unfortunately, because I would need a comparator for every 2 switches, I believe. A comparator would have room for 2. And so, yeah, that's not what I did for this. It would have been a cool design. And I made one here, just for show here. So once you break it, it would trigger the sound. So here it would be again if you put your finger in between. So I would have it set up with phototransistor, RLED, phototransistor LED, phototransistor LED, phototransistor LED, and putting your finger through it would trigger the noise, meaning that the resistor would come out into a comparator. The comparator would register something below the voltage and automatically trigger it. I also tried it with a transistor with a 2N7000. Unfortunately, that did not work either. And that's when I tried the capacitor to try and clear out the noise, if there was any noise, if that was a problem, but I don't think so. In all, I came really close to what I put in my outline and what I was going to do. In my outline, I did say I was going to just put LEDs into my circuits, which I didn't just want to put LEDs. I wanted it to do something. So I have the counter, which doesn't add complexity, but I just did not just want to have a piano. Unfortunately, I really wanted the, the touchless, adding with finger in here. But unfortunately, that didn't make it there, but that's something I really, really would do differently in order to add some originality and some complexity, you know. But yeah, that's all for my video here, but thank you.